Now yours, he says, I'm very busy teaching. Dr. Nandkumar says, okay, listen, whenever I have some friends in industry, they tell me projects, I manage to give that to my students. You feel that industry should come and really handhold you, nourish you for some time. I'm from industry, and I know for a fact, and maybe you should go and say why should industry not nourish you? Why should industry not nourish you? I mean, it's quite a legitimate point.
I had actually a pertinent point about your issue was what?
That industry should tell them exactly what is to be done. They should spend time. They should nourish them.
No, information, knowledge should be just. It's like a iCloud. It should be there in the clouds. Industry should be able to pick and choose whatever suits them. It's not going to happen that you come to industry comes to you. It's not going to happen. It should be out there. It's omnipresent.
Okay.
It has to be that way.
Good. This is getting a lively debate. Anuj, what would you like to say?
Well, I think there are two.
Yeah.
So there are two parts to it. There are two parts to it. One is that I think, as Moindra put it, that and Shri also said earlier, industry's the biggest job is to see that how they can convert a technology into a product, and that product can be sold, and the product becomes obsolete over time. So your effort is always to see that product is viable and it is up to the expectation of its customers. So therefore, most of the time goes away into sorting out the life cycle of a product. Okay. Whereas I would say that on the other side, for academia, since they do not have as much pressure to create a product, so they could they could easily work on the ideas which I think they can nurture within their organization. You have much lesser time pressures as compared.
Okay, that's what you think, Anish. But if you talk to him, he says, I'm so busy with my semester exams, my students, okay.
I'd like 1 minute interruption. Of course, we are in the same system, but we devote extra time. Dr. Satyanarayana, he also works, very hard and devote extra time for research. I mean to say that what industry are doing, so they should also, offer. If not offer, then they should float some, they ask the projects from academia. They ask projects from the academia, and if some projects is clicking, then they should fund that project. Because this is lacking in India, that they are not taking projects from the academia and not funding. So this.
Yeah, go ahead. And then I have 4. Go ahead.
Right. See, we have ideas, we also do some basic research, and it is not always possible for us to upscale.
Yes.
It's not our job. We don't have that kind of facilities. The industry has to they have to take up the ideas and then try to develop it, meaning help the institution in developing the upscaling it. That's where in fact we are starting.
Okay. So you see, I think that there is a time pressure on both sides. It's not that we think industry seems to think that there's lots of time, ideas, but there is a time pressure. There are different kinds of pressure. Okay? The main okay, you have to leave right now. But thank you for being here with this. I'm sure you're
not spending your valuable time with us.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for attending, and we'll see you. Okay.
I was in France for about 3.5 years. Any new idea institution, university or any institution, people used to hover around in the industry. Industry people were so well informed that they used to teach in the universities. industry develop facilities in the institute, you just utilize them when students are not there. They used to send their employees to be trained there in vacations. That is the kind of impact was there 25-30 years back in France. We never had that culture in India.
Okay, it will be interesting to explore. Do you have something to say on it?
Yeah, you mentioned that what I understand is we do interact with academia. We do come up with ideas what our company's requirements are, because as he said, that you have to pick up who has the best ideas. But then at the same time, since we do not find always those available, we actually go and tell them. But where we lack is the expectation management. So it does not align. And then when you say that you have some ideas, but you have it in the lab scale, but it is not scalable, and which industry has, and that is where it fails most of the time, we have seen. So maybe we have to work a little better in bridging that gap. You might be having in the shake class, you have good ideas, but at the end of it, the industry has to make the money. It has to be actually going through the acid test, and it has to be going through what you call the economic way of looking at it. And if it is not done the right way, it will not go out as a final product. And as Anil said, that it has to go through a lot of QC requirements. So there we are lacking today. We probably need to do a better job.
I will call upon Raghu to kind of share both sides of the story and what happened. And then Dr. Deshmukh.
I will first share my views from the point of view of an academic person. The participation of the industry with the collaboration with academia has plus and negative sides. One is, for example, when I was in NIO, we used to get a number of sponsored projects. Industries used to come and say, I will give you money to do this work. Many of us, including me, stayed away from that because we wanted to pursue purely our own ideas which do not have relevance with industries. I think that's very important. I am pursuing my dream. I don't want to be interpreted by what the industry says you do. That takes away my time from my dream. But at the same time, the industries are needed for academia for an important reason, because for many of those who claim that they are doing biotech, they are actually trying to reinvent the wheel. I think it's very important that the industry interacts with academia in a way that will tell them, look, no, this is not what we want, exactly like what Anuj and Aidila were saying. But at the same time, when an industry comes to an academia, they expect something which is ready on a platter, more or less. And that should not happen. If you take the USA or Japan, I know well, many industries support academia over a long period of time. Well, many industries say we can't afford that. I don't see why they can't afford that. Well, they give a direction, but they should look at a product from a time length of 5 or 10 years. Why not? If the industry says we are also constrained with funding, I think the government probably, in my opinion, has incentives like tax incentives. Why not use that and support a long-term project for academia? They need that. Academia are constrained very much by funding resources. They get some funding from government for the basic ideas, but then for the long term, I think industries should encourage long-term projects, probably by using government schemes like this. I see very few of that happening in the country. I have tried to encourage a medical college in Chennai to get an antiviral polysaccharide project from industry. And then they said, no, we have to wait for 2 years before this comes out. And then we said, why don't you look at it as a tax incentive? They wouldn't. I don't think they were aware of. Maybe I'm wrong about the tax incentive. If it's not there, I think this is what the government should encourage.
I think the issue on funding is a funding constraint on both sides. Okay.
But sir, in other countries, like all developed country, if you see, if you take the data, then you'll find that their academia is more nourished by the private companies, and their situation is also same, that they are not giving right now product. They are also not developing, but their industries are so visionary that maybe that today this product is not available, but tomorrow that may work.
We'll come to your point in a moment. I just want to hear Dr. Deshmukh.
Actually, I'm interacting with academia also. and I was in the part of industry, there are 2-3 sectors in academia as well as industry. There are some